Yo moi, it is Joinen, and welcome to the My Story animated story where this woman has 10 mums. I picked this one because of A, the title, and B, Kovu Kingsrod says this story is insane, and that is the top comment. So I want to see an insane story about a woman with 10 mums. I hear the ending is crazy.
3 months ago, I was home alone when someone rang the bell of my house.
What was she watching on TV?
My parents were not at home, and I haven't invited anyone else. So I wondered whether I should open the door or not. My friends never come unannounced to my house. It was 10 p.m., so it was dark and quite creepy. Yet I was extremely curious to see who came to visit me late that night. Finally, I decided to check who it was.
You gotta do that. Yeah, you gotta do that classic thing where you kind of like crawl around and you like get right up to the corner and kind of like peeking just enough to see outside so that they can't see you, because you're pretty sure you don't want to answer the door, but you kind of still want to know who it is.
I opened the door and saw a young and especially handsome man.
Always, it is the classic My Story animated move for it to be a young and especially handsome man. It's always a handsome man.
I was stunned. I truly believe that this was the mysterious prince that I have been waiting for all my life. In just 2 minutes, I came up with hundreds of theories of why he is here.
2 minutes? 2 minutes? You sat him there and you said, hold on, don't say a word. And then you sat down for 120 seconds writing down theories about why this man would be there when you could just let him tell you.
Can you relate to the imagination of a 20-year-old single girl? Nonetheless.
No? Maybe a little bit? I don't know.
I wasn't able to say a word. I was overwhelmed by his tall figure and deep
Why did she open the door to a stranger? Did one of her 10 mothers not teach her stranger danger?
Not one of them. Not one of the Kuminen mothers.
I'd look. So we both were just looking at each other. And you won't believe what happened next. Before I continue my...
Oh, what a Darman move. You won't believe what happens next. But before I continue my story, make sure you liked and subscribed, because if you don't, you will die a painful, agonizing death. Death by 10 mothers. I feel like the start of this story has like almost nothing to do with this 10 mothers thing. Like, we started off just watching, she's 20 years old, she's just home alone. What about the 10 mothers? How does that play into any of this
story? I'd like to remind you to like and subscribe
to Joinen,
to follow the rest of...
Like and subscribe to Joinen for the other fun videos that he's got planned for you lot.
My adventures. My mysterious prince introduced himself. However, he came with the lamest excuse on the planet. He said, "Sorry to bother you, but my tire blew out. Are you alone, or is there anyone that may help me?"
What? Okay, A, creepy. B, sexist? My tire's blown out. Are you alone, or is there someone that can help me? Because it's definitely not you.
Guess he was referring to my dad or another stronger figure. Anyhow, here's when I got scared. Reality hit me, and I suddenly became aware that he can rob me, kidnap me, or even do something worse.
Right, yeah, now the senses kick in. It's the middle of the night. There's a creepy man asking for help with a tire. Maybe I should just say, sorry, can't help, and close the door.
And I am sure that he noticed the change in my attitude. I was as pale as a cloth. To calm me, he took a step back on the porch and decided to spill the truth. He said,
Spill the truth? He was there under ulterior motives.
"I'm not going to hurt you, but I need you to listen to me." I was about to slam the door in his face, but something kept me waiting. So I decided to hear what he had to say. He began the story by explaining that he was looking for me for months. However, he didn't want to scare me, so he came by as a random stranger at my door. I almost fainted when I heard this. Was he a maniac?
I've been looking for you for months, and now I've finally found you. In your house. Crazy.
A psychopath who has followed me for a long time? No, he was my long-lost brother. What a turn of events.
Oh. That made that earlier revelation a little bit weirder. about the old him being your Prince Charming and stuff.
All my life, I believed that I was the only child. I never had anyone to share my secrets or even fight with.
And now there's a creepy man standing at my door in front of the middle of the night, claiming that he's my brother. So I'm not alone. I must have a brother.
My parents were always spoiling me, as I was the only center of their attention. Can you imagine the emotions I went through when I heard this? A brother? A 24-year-old, tall and handsome brother.
Oh, brother. That doesn't make any sense. Where have you been all my life, Brother Chun?
Anyhow, the story gets even more complicated. I finally decided to invite my brother inside. We were talking for 2 hours, but he didn't want to share the story of how we were related, at least not until my parents came home.
Wait, hold on. You invited him inside? You invited the creepy brother man inside? I think you could have said come back tomorrow. During the day, when someone else is home.
I could notice the confusion on his face. He thought I knew I had a brother. That's why he wanted to wait for my parents, or should I say, our parents. 2 cappuccinos later, my mom and my dad finally arrived at midnight. May I remind you that there was a stranger in our living room? It was obvious that my parents didn't even know who he is.
Oh, yep. Wow, didn't see that coming. Invite a random man inside that he just claims to be a brother. Parents get home. Oh, we don't know who he is. What? But he said you did.
Their first assumption was that he was my boyfriend, and oh my gosh, here we go again. My protective father always felt the need to defend me against the male kind.
No, Dad, don't worry. He's not my boyfriend. He's just my brother. Your son.
At the end of the day, I was his little princess. So I can understand the reasons for his actions. He was about to fight my brother when he said, "Stop
fair
it.
enough.
You know who I am. I am about to tell her." Long story short, we all managed to calm our frustration and sat on the couch. Suddenly, my mom started crying. I have never been more confused in my entire life.
I'm very confused as well. I'm still trying to figure out how this means she would have 10 mums. How does that even work?
She said, "I hope that what we are about to tell you won't make you love or appreciate us less." I assumed that they gave my brother for adoption and they didn't want me to judge them. I instantly developed my theory that they were young and panicked.
All right, stop talking about your theories. I just want to know what actually happened. Where are the 9 other mums?
Apparently, I was about to forgive them. But believe me, when I say I was far from the truth. My mom was stuttering. Still, she wanted to be the one that reveals the whole story. She began by telling me about her pregnancy with me. She didn't even mention my long-lost brother.
Just tell me. I need to know.
When I asked her why she is skipping that part, she answered,
Brother from another mother.
But that wouldn't make it her mother. It would make it his mother.
"You will understand." Apparently, there was an earthquake on the day when I was born. Can you guess how this justifies my newly discovered brother?
No? An earthquake means you have a newly discovered brother.
Well, neither could I. To be more specific, I was born in our local hospital. My mother was struggling for days before I decided to come out. Obviously, I was indecisive even in the womb. It's a characteristic of mine that explains many actions I have taken in my life.
So me. Don't want to go out and see the world? Maybe not. Maybe I'll stay inside. Who knows? I'm a wild card.
Anyway, I was born in June. On this particular day, 16 other babies were born in the same hospital. It's not many, but as I said, it's a small town. And I should be lucky that there weren't more babies at the moment.
So many details. So many details. Not enough answers. Get to it. This brother thing better be related to why you have 10 mums.
I know it sounds confusing, but you will understand when I finish the story. During the conversation, my mom told me, as you already know, all babies look alike. Can you imagine my shock at the
All of them. Every single baby. Identical.
moment? My own mother couldn't tell me apart. Did they switch me with another baby in the hospital? And
Yeah, so there was some baby swap, right? Like the boy was their actual one, but they got her instead. There's a baby swap?
does this explain my long-lost brother? Well, I wish it did.
How does it make him your brother?
Reality was far worse. When my mother gave birth to me, she held me in her hands. Like any other mother, she wanted to smell me, to hug me and hold me tight. My father was right beside her during the whole journey. They were thrilled that they had a daughter. All their lives, they dreamed of having a girl.
Did they all get mixed up?
I guess so? What's that got to do with the brother?
That's why I am as spoiled as I am. They truly gave me everything I ever wished for.
All right, they finally gotta go.
From the fanciest clothes to the most expensive toys. But that's not what makes my parents special. They have always listened to me, dedicated their time and full attention to my concerns. And my mom and dad love me unconditionally.
I'm
and
sure they do.
Will. So what could have happened on my birthday to make my mother so anxious?
I don't know. Please just tell me.
Is there anything that can stop me from loving them for a lifetime? Back to the story. My mother had to give me to the medical nurses. Then I was placed together with the other babies. This is the usual hospital procedure, so I still couldn't spot the problem. But as I mentioned before, there was an earthquake at the hospital.
Yeah, I know there was an earthquake. I know there was an earthquake. Okay, you already said there was an earthquake like 2 or 3 minutes ago, and then everything in between just seemed completely irrelevant. We could have just moved on from the earthquake thing and just skipped to this point.
Important fact is that everyone survived this disaster. There were no victims in the accident. Well, except the sacrifice of the truth. I and the rest of the 16 babies were tangled together and transferred to a safe place. The issue is that the hospital didn't keep good track of our identities.
Hospitals would never do that. Hospitals would never keep track of identities, especially of babies. Why would they?
At the moment, so they decided to keep this as a secret. For years, the parents weren't aware of this issue. All that time...
Wait, they didn't tell the parents? They just gave him a random kid? They're like, oh, well, here you go. Wait, my baby was a boy. Oh, well, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
They believed that the hospital gave them their baby. More specifically, there were 10 female and 7 male newborn babies. After a few years, the truth came out. But it was already too late. The parents have developed strong relationships with their children. My parents didn't want to put me through such a stressful situation.
Your new parents or your old parents? I feel like you're not emphasizing here whether you got different parents or not. I'm assuming you did. These are not your parents? Why does this mean you have 10 mums? 10 potential mums!
Did they not have DNA test 20 years ago?
I don't know, but I feel like I figured it out, right? There was 10 potential mums, because I think there was 10 girls, right? So she's not sure which one her real mum is, but it's one of 10 different people, right?
From a young age. After all, they loved me as I am their own blood, even if I was not. As shocking as it sounds, I was then made aware that I have 10 mothers. Both my mom and my dad burst into tears.
Right. No, okay. Yeah. Again, 10 potential. You have one mother. Just, you know, you were born of one woman. I guess it could have even been the real one, right? There's 10 potential ones. You weren't born from all 10. But what's this deal with the brother? Now I'm really... How does the brother play into this?
My mother started cursing my new brother. She started yelling and asking why he came. She was 100% convinced that I will blame them or even leave them as complete strangers. But she was wrong. I didn't blame my parents, not even for a second. I was just shocked by this new information. Can you imagine finding out that you have 9 more mothers?
No, you don't have 9. How are you coming to this conclusion? How are you coming to this conclusion that all 9 other women were your mom?
9 more fathers and a whole bunch of brothers and sisters? Of course, I am speaking hypothetically. I know that I can only have 1 mother and 1 father.
Okay.
But who are they? Are they the people I have been living with my whole life? Or are they people from a different culture? Individuals with other values and daily habits? No matter the case, I wanted to meet them.
Sure. That's fair enough.
I cannot imagine what my mom and dad were feeling at that moment. Maybe they thought that I would leave them for my real parents.
Wait, so the brother knows then, right? If I'm piecing all this together, it kind of sounds like the brother already knows. He's there and he's like, oh, hey, by the way, you're my sister. Come and meet your real parents.
Little did they know, I have always seen them as my only family. Now, back to the story.
Little did who know? I'm sure everybody knew. Everybody knew that the parents who raised you are who you have seen as your family your entire life. Everybody knew that.
Story of my long-lost brother. I'm sure that you are questioning why he was looking for me. His adventure began when he met a girl at the same age as his sister, or the girl he was living with.
So she contradicted her story and she's still confusing me.
I think it's about to get a lot more confusing.
At this stage, we're unaware of who is related and who is not. When he met the girl, he instantly felt a connection. They started talking and bonding. After a while, he discovered that she was born on the same date and in the same hospital as his sister.
Right, because his sister isn't his real biological sister. It's one of the other girls.
It was simply too big of a coincidence. He spent months on research and he came upon the hospital's secret. Then he decided to face his parents with the truth. He asked them whether the girl living with him was truly his relative. Even though this was a well-kept secret, his parents decided to reveal the story.
His parents knew? Oh, that's right, because it came out later. That's what they said. It came out like, what was it, some years later. But at that point, the parents had emotional bonds. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Like my parents, they were also introduced to the problem several years after my birth. It was at that particular moment when my brother promised to spread the truth to all 17 babies.
Wait, so he doesn't know if she's the real sister? Then why does he say brother?
He didn't want to participate in this huge manipulation, so instead of keeping us in the dark, he was dedicated to uniting us all. Allegedly, I was the 8th girl baby on his list. He tracked us all and had this difficult conversation with each family. It is little to say that he was our hero.
Mitchie, you're not wrong. So heroic. It's right there in the script. He was the hero.
So the parents knew what happened. Why didn't they just fix it when they found out?
Because they found out fairly later. She did address this point. It had been some years, and at that point, they kind of thought, well, I mean, I'm not just going to swap them out now. You would think they would all meet up or something, though. I guess maybe the parents didn't want to because they didn't want to run the risk of the other parents wanting their kid back. But at the same time, you would think at least one of the parents would have been like, okay, people need to know.
However, I cannot explain how I felt at the moment. It was honestly chaos of emotions. I felt anger, sadness, happiness, but ultimately I was thankful for the truth. But what path should I have chosen? I couldn't decide whether to ignore the facts or go looking for my biological parents.
Oh, I mean, this is just a classic adoption scenario, right? Like, I feel like most of the time it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's up to you. You're an adult now. You can go and seek out your parents if you want. Just remember, who really raised you?
I was 20 years old, and I had no idea who I was, where I come from, and who are my parents. These past 3 months have been a roller coaster of emotions. Now, you're asking yourself why I didn't immediately take a DNA test. It sounds really simple.
Well, yeah, Twitch chat has certainly been asking. They certainly do want to know.
But you wouldn't feel that way if you were in my shoes. My parents weren't the only ones who were frightened of the truth. I thought that once they discover that I'm not their child, they would abandon me.
What? Your parents mustn't be very nice. If you get that vibe from your parents. If this happened to me right now, if I found out that, oh, you'd actually been swapped and there's a small chance that your parents aren't your real parents, my first thought would not be, oh dang, I don't want to find out because then my parents will abandon me. I'm pretty confident in my parents' my parents' parentship of me, that if they found out that I wasn't their real kid, they'd be like, that's fine.
I think the least believable part is the fact that 17 babies were born in a small town in a single day. I lived in a small town and would be lucky to get one baby announcement in the weekly town newspaper.
Oh, well, there you go. Someone coming in with the baby facts. I didn't know how many babies would be born in a day. Bubbies is a good one, though. I guess that's another Finnish lady, good one.
The moment, I was scared of reality. It was easier to ignore the issue and live in a world of my own. However, there is an end to every fantasy. The ultimate question that determined my destiny was, what if I fell in love with a relative?
What? That's your question, because you might have a sibling out there, but they're not your relatives. No, she's just referring to the fact that she may have a sibling out there.
What would happen if I met my long-lost brother on the street? Well, I would be unaware that we were associated with him. And at this age, one thing leads to another. No one can guarantee my safety if I choose to live in a bubble. So
Okay, just find out who your parents are, all right? Just, there's a simple solution here. Find out who your parents are.
Oh, I decided to be brave. To discover my roots and true identity, I wanted to know which of the 10 women is my biological mother. I must admit, it wasn't easy taking the test. Both I and my parents went through a tough period, and you will not believe what I've discovered.
Okay, I will. Well, tell me. Look, we've sat through 11 minutes of this. I wouldn't mind finding out.
My whole life was a lie. These people I have been living with for the past 20 years weren't my biological parents. This means that I may have a brother or a sister that
there was a 10% chance. I figured, if I had to guess, statistically it's on my side.
I am unaware of. It was then that I knew I had to take action. I instantly called the brother that visited me. He had the contacts of most babies born in the local hospital on the same day, many of which made DNA tests and confirmed the relationship to their parents.
Great.
Anyhow, he didn't manage to find all female babies. One of them was nowhere to be found.
And let me guess. Those are the parents that are yours.
As lucky as I am, it was probably the baby I had been switched with. So what was I supposed to do now? My parents were supportive.
Wait. Hold on. I was trying to wrap my head around this. It wasn't like a one-to-one swap, right? It wasn't like two babies swapped and they got each other's parents. There was just a jumble. It was a jumble. Just because they can't find her doesn't mean you had been swapped with her. It doesn't mean it's your parents. Anyway, semantics, doesn't matter.
Of my actions. They wanted to meet their child as well. But as I mentioned before, my mother took this worse than I thought. She started struggling with anxiety and depression. Each day when I left the house to look for my biological mother, I felt that I was breaking her heart a little bit more.
It would be a weird feeling. If you were the mum, you'd be like, oh dang. Not only is my daughter not my daughter, which I think she actually already knew that, but now I guess her daughter knows that she's not her daughter, but she's also got another daughter out there. But she also knew that already, actually. There's no new information other than the fact that her daughter's searching for her real mom.
Each day that I came closer to the truth, I moved farther away from my mom. So once again, I had to choose. As people, we make numerous decisions each day.
True.
This is what makes us different. This is what builds our personality and
this is how we get good at chess.
Overall image. Everyone says that as you age, you face more delicate decisions. As you age, your problems become bigger and your childhood concerns seem funny to you. Nonetheless, I never thought that my life would turn into a tragedy of this type.
Please, I'm begging you. Tell me you found your parents, all right? This is an animated story. You've made this story up. Don't leave me hanging. Tell me you found your parents and tell me what they're like.
I never thought that reality may be as harsh as mine. You wouldn't believe what I have discovered. I was searching for a long time. I went to the hospital. I went through all town records and social networks. I did everything in my power to find my family. I wanted to meet the girl that has been living my life for the past 20 years.
No, okay, yeah. Sure. Again, I don't think it was a one-to-one swap, but anyways.
I wanted to see what I have missed and what I have taken from her. Finally, I got a call from the local police. And yes, I have involved them in my case as well. Ultimately, they have found my family. I had an open conversation with my mom. I told her that she will always have a special place in my heart. She has and will forever remain my mother. In the end, she understood why I had to take this step. So we decided to go to the police together. We were both ready to face the truth. We thought that the story couldn't get worse. But
when you need to make the minimum word count on an essay.
I know, right? It just goes on and on. Just the suspense.
We got to the police, we heard the most heartbreaking event of a lifetime.
Oh, she died. Don't tell me that. Again, this is an animated story. You guys get that, right? It doesn't have to be real. You guys can just give us the satisfying ending. You don't have to get weird with it.
Both my biological mother and the girl I had been switched with were in an accident 3 years ago. It was reported to the police and that's how they tracked them.
Wait, in an accident? Wait, that doesn't necessarily mean
I
they're
think
gone,
you
right?
already understand the disastrous end of my narrative. They are dead. The girl who has been living my life was no longer alive. I, the one that took her place, was living a fairy tale. My whole life, I got everything I wanted. I had the best parents and most supportive friends. Should I be grateful that I was switched in the hospital? Or should I blame myself for taking her place?
Just what? Just why?
Both I and my mother lost a part of ourselves when we heard the news. We got home and told everything to my father. He couldn't accept the truth as well. After all, their daughter was dead. It will take years for us to return to our regular lives. We will never be able to forget about the family members we didn't get to meet.
Can we meet the dad? Can we meet the dad? What about the other dad? Like, come on, there's at least a little bit of closure there.
When it comes to my biological father, I will meet him in the future. At this moment, I'm not ready to reach out to him and his new family. After all, he may not even know that I exist.
It's a fake story. It's a fake story. Give me this. How can you do this to us? How can you set us up, rant for 15 minutes straight, get to you and then be like, I guess we'll never know. One day I'll go out there and I'll look for him. Yeah, but you're not real. I am. Show me the dad. I don't care if you don't get to see the dad. Why'd you have to kill the mom and the sister? That's... Is there another sibling? Is there another sibling?
I will take the time to reconnect with the people who have raised me. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we have the same blood or not. They made me who I am. So they are my family.
Yeah! Come follow me on Twitch. We film these live. Get some of the Lemon Carton merch or the Nug Thug merch. And subscribe to my main channel. It's linked down below. I'll see you guys soon.